Which players should you add heading into week 7 of the NFL season? I'm going to get into the ad drops as usual, talk about some buy low, sell highs, some players to ignore. Before we get into all that, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. We have NFL picks against the spread, college football picks against the spread, 2026 and 2027 NFL mock drafts, NFL power rankings. We grade every signing, we grade every trade. We have so much more at walterfootball.com, and it's all free. Okay, so let's get to the week 7 ad drops. I'm going to talk about the players to add first, and I have designations for a high priority, medium priority, and low priority. So as you can see, the player on the screen here, his is Kendre Miller. He's actually the number 2 player to add. He was the top player last week, and I just didn't feel like adding a new image. So Kendre Miller is number 2. He's still owned in like 27% of leagues, so he has to be added. There's a good chance that that Alvin Kamara is going to be traded. I know that the Saints kind of said that they're going to maybe honor Kamara's request to stay in New Orleans, but I think ultimately they may talk him into getting traded, or he may, people around him might talk him into getting traded because it's such a waste for him to be in New Orleans right now. The team's going nowhere. They're 1-5. There's no hope for the playoffs, no hope for the immediate future. They don't have their quarterback. They don't have a lot of the pieces. So it's going to be a long time until they're good. And Kamara is already 30, so he needs to go to a contender. And I imagine that the Saints are going to get some good trade offers, and maybe once they do, they'll talk Kamara into getting traded. Like the Chiefs, for example, could really use a running back. It seems just like such an obvious spot for Alvin Kamara. So Kendre Miller, he's number 2. The only guy ahead of him is Kamani Vidal. So last week I got asked why I didn't list any of the Charger running backs here on the ad drop, and just because I didn't know what to do. I mean, like, first of all, there was a proposed 50-50 split between Vidal and Hassan Haskins. And then there was Nyheim Hines as well. So I thought maybe a 3-man split. So I thought like maybe out of 26 carries, I thought, Haskins would get the 10 or 11. Vidal would get 10 or 11. Hines would get 3 or 4. And then Hines would get some receiving work. So I just thought it would be a complete mess, and we wouldn't know what to do. And plus, the Charger offensive line stinks. But Kamani Vidal emerged. He was kind of a sleeper last year. People talked him up because there was really no one else there. Now, J.K. Dobbins eventually emerged, and then when Dobbins got hurt, they went back to Gus Edwards, who was terrible, but they didn't really give Kamani Vidal much of a chance, and they did in this game. So first quarter, Haskins and Vidal had it like a 50-50 split on the field, but then it became very apparent that Vidal just had more juice. He was very explosive. He had some nice runs, and so I think that he is going to emerge as the starting running back until Omarion Hampton returns from injury, and it sounds like Hampton's going to be out well beyond the 4 weeks required for IR. So Vidal is going to be someone who might be able to help you out for like 6-7 weeks. He had 18 carries against the Dolphins compared to Haskins' 6. I would say the only thing to be negative about here is that the Dolphins, they surrendered 206 rushing yards to Rico Dowdle a couple weeks ago. So, actually last week. So, maybe this is just Vidal just taking advantage of a horrible defense. But if he's going to be the main guy in a Justin Herbert-led offense, I would trust him. So he is the number 1 player to own. He's not a very high priority. He's just high. So don't blow all your fab on him, because there's a good chance that Hampton is going to come back for the fantasy playoffs. And so, someone who's very high needs to help you out throughout the whole season. So for example, if Bijan Robinson were to go down, Tyler Algier would be very high. Vidal is just high, but he's definitely the players to own this week. So Vidal and Miller, the 2 top players in the ad drop for sure, and they're both like 25 to 30% owned in ESPN leagues. Alec Iomanner, his priorities medium, and it's because Calvin Ridley hurt his hamstring against the Raiders. So Iomanner is going to be the number 1 receiver. Van Jefferson had a decent game fantasy wise, but Van Jefferson's not really like a real fantasy player. So Iomanner, he's going to be someone that you could play, I think, as a streamer, and when your other players have bye weeks. Especially against easier matchups. The Raiders have the Chiefs this week. The Titans. The Titans have the Patriots this week. So there could be a lot of garbage time for Iomanner. And so he could be a fine like receiver 3 if you have a couple of receivers on bye. So someone to look into. I don't think Calvin Ridley's going to be out for that long, but Iron Manor is kind of interesting. Tajay Spears. I listed him last week. He's still low owned. He and Tony Pollard are splitting touches now. Like it hurts for Pollard owners, I'm sure. But Spears is a guy who can catch passes. Tennessee's obviously going to be involved in a lot of garbage time. So Spears, especially in PPR leagues, could be pretty decent. So medium priority there. And also Keishon Butte. I was shocked. I was shocked to see Butte's ownership. I thought like when he went off, I thought he would be owned in like maybe 40% of leagues or 50% of leagues. And I say that because I own him in 2 of my 3 leagues, and I actually started him in one of my leagues. I had a couple receivers injured and stuff like that, so it wasn't like a guy I was normally going to start. But I thought, hey, like he's in a good matchup against the Saints, who have a pass funnel defense, and I thought, okay, Butte, who's from that area, could do well. And then I looked at the ownership, and he's owned in like 7% of leagues. So I was so shocked that he should definitely be owned in a lot more than 7% of leagues. Like, first of all, he is a starting receiver with Drake May, who's playing out of his mind right now. May is just like making historic numbers right now. Like there's a stat going around that he's one of 4 quarterbacks to have 5 consecutive games, 200 plus yards and 100 plus QB rating below the age of 24. He's one of 4. The other 3, Patrick Mahomes, Dan Marino, and Dak Prescott. So pretty great company there. So I say, first of all, like, he's a starting receiver there. But second, Stephon Diggs is pretty shaky right now. He's a 31-year-old receiver coming off the 20 ACL. He's looked good recently, but someone like that has a high injury risk. So if Diggs goes down, Butte is going to be the number 1 receiver for Drake May. So he's just like, it's a joke that he's only owned in 7% of leagues. Like, he needs to be owned in more. All right, here's some buy low players. I listed Travion Henderson before, and I'll continue to list them. Ramondre Stevenson's clear that he stinks. Like, he had 13 carries for 18 yards. He's just so bad. Henderson's better. Now, Henderson hasn't been perfect, but I think eventually Mike Vrabel will realize that Henderson should be the lead back. Maybe it'll take until after the Week 14 bye. Like, usually rookies get a bump after their bye, but I think ultimately Henderson will eventually be the starter. Stevenson just fumbles a lot. He's a career fumbler. Henderson never fumbled at Ohio State, so at least he has that going for him. So, eventually there's going to be a straw that breaks the camel's back with the fumbles for Stevenson. So I think that Henderson at some point will take over as the starter, and you can get him dirt cheap right now. Alvin Kamara, he's struggled recently fantasy-wise because Taysom Hill's returned. Taysom Hill vultured a touchdown today. Kendra Miller is getting carries away from him, and I think the lower workload is because the Saints are trying to trade him despite what they've said. So I'm saying a buy low here because if Kamara is traded to the Chiefs, for example, that'll just make him so much more valuable. He won't have to share any touches with anyone. No Taysom Hill, no young running back nipping at his heels. Isaiah Pacheco is kind of young, but he seems kind of washed up. So Kamara is buy low. And Jameson Williams, actually, I had him here before the game, before the Lions Chiefs game. So that kind of that's lingering there. He should have been removed. Yeah, he had a good game against the Chiefs. He had some dud performances heading into that game. But if he only had like one good game in the past few weeks, maybe he's still a buy low because his fantasy owners might be disgruntled with him. He just has so much upside. Sell highs. Nick Chubb. This is from last week. The Texans had their bye this week, so he's still here. Chubb had a good performance, so maybe you can convince someone into thinking, hey, Chubb is he's coming back. His knees are healthier, but he's super washed up. So try to trade him if you can. Stephon Diggs, he had 2 great games heading into week 6. He didn't do much in week 6. He did catch a deep pass, but it was negated by offensive pass interference. But again, he's 31. He has balky knees. I would try to trade him because he's a high injury risk. Travis Kelce, who's had some good games recently. But Rashee Rice is coming back. He and Rashee Rice operate like the same areas in the middle of the field. So with Rice coming back, Kelsey's usage is going to plummet. So someone might be looking at his game log and thinking, oh, Travis Kelce's back. Maybe the engagement to Taylor Swift is going to propel him forward. And I actually think that he's going to struggle fantasy-wise, at least with Rashee Rice back. And then Caleb Williams from last week, he had a great game. This is recorded before the Monday night game, so we'll see what he does. If he has another great game, he's going to be a good sell high here. Players to ignore: Zay Jones. He had a big game for the Cardinals, but Marvin Harrison got hurt. So, Marvin Harrison is the starter ahead of Zay Jones at that position. So, as long as Harrison's going to be fine in the next week or two, there's no reason to go with Zay Jones. Talked about Luther Burden from before. Again, the Bears had a bye, so it didn't really change anything here. Ryan Flournoy, he had a big game in week 5, caught a few passes in week 6, but I would say it's pretty certain that either CeeDee Lamb or Kevontae Turpin will be back in week 7. So that kind of renders Flournoy pretty useless. And a couple players to drop. Yeah, Michael Carter. Bam Knight started ahead of Michael Carter. But these guys all suck. Don't bother with any Arizona running backs. It's all like a crazy committee. Chris Godwin not doing anything, and he's hurt again. Not a surprise. I talked about it. How it kind of reminded me of Najee Harris, where the Chargers rushed Harris back onto the field, like very irresponsible of them. And then Harris got hurt because he was just favoring one leg and the other. Well, he was favoring parts of his body that haven't been in use because he wasn't really practicing, and he got hurt. And like Chris Godwin is the one favoring like one leg, and no surprise that he got hurt in the lower part of his body again. Like it's just. They should not have played him until November. Like he was not ready to go, and they pushed him, and they made the same mistake the Chargers did. Hassan Haskins, everyone added Haskins like he was owning like 50% of leagues this week. Well, he only had 6 carries, so you could just get rid of him. And then Cooper Kupp. I don't know why he's still owning 80% of ESPN leagues. He caught his first touchdown, but didn't do anything otherwise. I think he had like 2 receptions. So Kupp, for some reason, is still highly owned. You can dump him. So those are the week 7 ad drop players. This page will be updated on Monday. To access this page, you can go to walterfootball.com. It'll be one of the top links. So like I said, after the 2 Monday night games, there'll be an update there. But otherwise, I will have a new video tomorrow talking about updated NFL power rankings. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit walterfootball.com for tons of content every single day that is all free. So I will talk to you in the next video.